So the first topic I'm going to talk about is that a sequel to A Violent Nature is in development. I'll be honest, I'm not excited for this. Like, I didn't really like the first movie. I thought this was the worst movie of the year, personally, for me, when it came to just how slow it was a struggle for me to get through this movie. It was just incredibly boring. And this is a movie. This is like this is one of the short movies where it felt too long. This movie's only like an hour 30 something minutes, yet it felt too long. I didn't like this movie. But I can also understand why a sequel's in development. It's a low budget movie. And you know what? Even though this movie didn't personally work for me, I always say this. I'm happy for people that enjoyed In a Violent Nature or loved the movie. Like, I'm happy for those people, and I wish I felt that way. And, I'm happy for the fans that enjoyed or loved the movie that they're going to get a sequel. I'm definitely excited for those fans, for those people that enjoyed or loved the movie. But for me personally, this news I have no really interest in seeing the second one personally, but happy for the fans that enjoyed or loved the movie, the first one. The next topic I want to talk about is that I did watch the Rebel Moon Director's Cut trailer, and my honest response to this trailer is that I don't think the trailer was very good, and I'll be honest, this trailer really didn't do anything to get me excited to watch the director's cut of these movies. Now, some of that has to do with the fact that I really didn't like the first two PG-13 Rebel Moon movies. I thought they was like some of the worst Zack Snyder films. And overall, for Zack Snyder, for me, I feel like he's become one of those directors that comes off a little like he thinks he's like the deepest director in the world, and I don't think he's a very good writer when it comes to writing his own movies. And a lot of times I feel like he's more about style than substance. Like my favorite movie of his is Dawn of the Dead, which was written by James Gunn. And then I love his Watchmen movie, and I love his 4 hour cut of Justice League. Even though I don't think that movie needed to be 4 hours, I think 3 hours, over 3 hours mass. I don't think that movie needed to be 4 hours or close to 4 hours out. Like there's stuff you can cut out of that cut too. Like it's not a perfect movie in my opinion. Which I know Zack Snyder fans get all you know annoyed by that. Like hardcore Zack Snyder fans, like I love the 4 hour cut Justice League, but it is not a perfect movie. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, look, but at the end of the day, I did love his 4 hour cut Justice League. I love Watchmen. I think Dawn of the Dead is his best movie. But those movies won't. He didn't write those movies, I believe. When you get into his movies that he wrote himself, I don't think he's a very good writer. I feel like he's gotten worse as a director, where he's really seems to be like really into his tendencies, where he's just like really into like his movies being more about style way more than at the beginning. And I just like I said, he's not a very good writer when it comes to writing his own movies. And I just feel like he's getting so into like high on himself, thinking he's the deepest director in the world. So look, I'm not the biggest Zack Snyder fan. I think he's kind of gone downhill as a director. And this trailer, the problem I have with this trailer with this Travis Cut Web Moon is that I know you know, both of these cuts of both Rebel Moon is going to add an S hour. So I do think there's definitely a chance they could improve those original cuts. But this trailer just didn't like do anything. Yeah, like some of the new scenes look cool, but I didn't really. This trailer didn't get me like excited for the fact that okay, I'm going to get more into the characters, more into the story. It just didn't do anything for me. And the PG-13 cuts was so bad that it's really made that also is part of the reason why I'm not excited for these director's cuts. Like I'll probably check them out, but when it comes to this trailer, whether this excited me or not, this is what a trailer is supposed to do. This trailer didn't excite me. And also just the way Zack Snyder has talked about these director's cut, where he seems to be in the interviews talking about how these director's cuts have more sex scenes and are more violent. I'm like, like having more sex scenes and being more bloody and violent to me isn't what to me that's not going to improve the Web of Moon movies. Like to me, what's going to improve is that okay, does Esther Al have like some more depth with the characters? Because the characters to me were extremely boring and uninteresting in those movies. The story was just very you've seen it, done it before, and just not a very compelling story. So it's just even the way he's talked about these director's cuts, where he seems to be focused on like hyping them up because they have more sex scenes and they're more bloody and violent. I'm like, okay, That's not what's going to get me excited to check out these director's cuts. Like, do we actually get more depth with the characters and the story? So even though he's just, I don't know, the way he's hyped it up and talked about these director's cuts, having more sex scenes and being bloody more violent isn't a thing that's gonna, to me, like, improve the movies for me. Like, give me, I hope these director's cuts just give me more, like, if I end up watching them, I hope they give me more, just give me more character development. Give me, like, flush out the story and world more. I don't really care about having, like, sex scenes and it being more bloody and violent than those cuts. But overall, this trailer didn't do anything for me. So, I'll probably check out the movies. I might not, but I'm excited for for the Zack Snyder fans that want to see his true version on those movies, and I'm glad his true version is getting released. Even though I think that whole way of just it makes no sense why him and the Netflix did it. I'm talking about both of them. To me, it's Zack Snyder's and Netflix fault, in my opinion, because they both agreed to it. And Zack Snyder seems to be obsessed. Like, even the way he's talked about in interviews, he seems obsessed with director's cuts lately, too, with his movies. Because I don't know why he seems obsessed with director's cuts with his movies lately, Zack Snyder. I don't know what it is, why he seems to be like. And I know they were trying to create the whole Justice League ploy. Netflix, that's what it felt like to me. And it makes no sense when there's a streaming service and waiting for a movie doesn't matter on the streaming service. Just the whole way it was handled too was just stupid in my opinion, and just you know, like I said, overall I'm not really excited for these director's cuts of Weatherman movies personally. Next thing I want to talk about is Kevin Feige was talking about the Marvel and DC rivalry, and he's talking about how his thoughts on the rivalry, how fans have said, "Oh, there's a rivalry between Marvel and DC." But I also like the fact that he was like talking about how it creates. He's happy for the success of DC. He wants DC to succeed. That if DC, like if this new DC universe James Gunn makes good to great movies, then it creates competition for Marvel. And he's also talking about how he's took inspiration from the original Christopher Reeve Superman movie. How he loves that movie. And to me, I never felt like there was a rivalry between Marvel and DC. I know fans like to kind of create that, but I always was like, I love Marvel and DC. I want both to succeed. If Marvel starts to get back on track with Deadpool and Wolverine, that's a sign of getting back on track with Bob Lana back also. And then the James Gunn DC universe really does good too. Then to me, it just means that it'll be more good to great comic book movies. Like competition creates like gives both studios gets both studios to want to make more good to great comic book movies. I love Kevin Feige talked about that. How he's happy for DC. He's excited for James Gunn's DC universe. He's hoping for their success, and I'm sure James Gunn is hoping for the MCU success. So for me, it's like I never really understood the whole vibe between Marvel and DC. Like I always felt like to me, I want both studios to succeed, and I want them both to make good to great movies. So I love what Kevin Feige kind of said there about like he's happy for DC when it comes to when they do succeed, and he's excited for James Gunn's DC universe, and it creates healthy competition in my opinion. So the next thing I want to talk about is the lessons that Kevin Feige talked about a Marvel and DC crossover movie. Basically, just said he's thought about it. But I also think I'll be honest, when it comes to a Marvel DC crossover movie, I kind of have mixed feelings if it ever happens. And I don't know if it's ever going to happen because you got, the thing with that, the problem with that I have if that, like, for that to happen is that you have two studios and they would have to work together when it comes to the rights and all that. And also, I think you run into some problems with the fact that James Gunn is just starting up a new DC universe. And who knows what MCU is going to be at after this multiverse saga is over. I think after the multiverse saga, I think they're going to do like a soft rebirth or reboot of the MCU after the next two Avengers movies. Again, that's just a theory for me. But To me, I wouldn't want to see that until James Gunn gets his DC universe kind of settled, and till they get the universe going. And with the multiverse saga with MCU, I want to wait until if they kind of gone through the multiverse saga and kind of see what MCU's at. So I think there is some like hurdles you have to run into when it comes to this two studios working together, rights, and also doing a Marvel and DC crossover. I think would be extremely tough to do because it would you have to include so many characters. I mean, there's so many Marvel and DC characters, and try to cram that many characters into one movie because this isn't like like an Avengers movie or even like a Eternals where you had 10 lead characters or with Justice League movie. Like you're talking about cramming in just a lot of characters into one movie. I just think that would be tough to do. It's like if you try to do like in a Avengers versus X-Men movie. I would be excited by the idea, and I think that will happen at some point because obviously they're all Marvel characters. That would be a lot easier. But it would be tough to do because there's so many characters. I feel like a DC and Marvel crossover would be very tough to do because there's just so many characters. But it's cool he's thought about it. I mean, and he says, he Kevin Feige ought to say, he never says never. Like, James Gunn's in charge of DC. Yeah, it could happen maybe someday. But I honestly, when it comes to DC, Marvel, crossover movie, I don't think that if it ever happens, I think that's way off in the future. Like, I don't see that happening anytime soon. So that's all the movie topics today. Until next time, movie fans.